I can't fly RC today. There's snow on the ground. Let's go ahead and get this mindset out of our brains, folks. Don't let the frostbite conditions deter you from stepping outside to fly. The winter is a great and unique time of the year to aviate, even in the climates that get hit by it the hardest, and it opens lots of unique ways you can approach flying your RC airplanes. There are many ways to keep your planes, batteries, and skills proficient throughout those winter cold snaps. Let's go ahead and look at some winter RC flying life hacks to ensure you can keep your skills as hot as a summer day, even in the brisk of winter. Let's start out with our first life hack, the best ways to get a plane off the ground when it's covered in snow. Sure, the first obvious fix would be to clear your runway of any snow that's even on it. You could do this by snow blowing, plowing, or even shoveling your paved runways if you wanted the workout. We've even seen some folks use a leaf blower on grass runways covered in light fluffy snow. However, we'd suggest saving yourself some time and adding some fun to your flying with those fancy things called skis. Warren Miller would agree. However, contrary to what one might think at first, it's actually easier to fly off of snow with floats than with skis. Let's take a quick look at the pros and cons to skis versus floats when it comes to snow flying. Let's go ahead and start with skis. Skis work excellent on compact snow or ice. They slide around just like you would with your skis on while riding on a fresh groomer on one of those perfect bluebird days on the slopes. However, just like your skis struggle in that heavy mashed potato powder, so do skis on an airplane. So, to avoid flipping over in powder with skis on your bird, throw some floats onto it. Surprisingly, using floats on the snow won't cause a sudden loss of appetite. Floats quite literally float on top of the light fluffy or even heavy snow and make for a super fun time. Give it a shot. There's a couple other straightforward ways to be able to fly on a day with a blanket of white over your flying site. The first more obvious one is to fly a hand launching style airplane. They can make for a fun landing on compact snow, especially as you Tokyo drift to a stop. The other easy option is to fly a helicopter. Just shovel up an area to make as a helipad, or even bring your own helipad to place on top of the snow. Either is a great fun way to get some stick time in. That's it for ways to get airborne in a snowy environment. Let's move on to our next winter flying life hack, dressing warm and bringing warmth with you. Lots of AMA sanctioned fields, or even simple park flying sites, are more active than you'd think in the winter. They can bring people in during the colder weather in the same way that some ski resorts can bring in ski bums during that wet, slushy snow in July. It all comes down to passion. When pilots are passionate about flying and are willing to bundle up, they will get out and aviate even on the coldest days. We suggest wearing Under Armour, adding layers, bringing your ski jacket, or heck, even consider wearing your ski goggles. I mean, maybe not that one, but there is one exception, our favorite awesome airport ops dog. Rest in peace, pup. Balaclavas are also an excellent way to keep your face and head warm in the cold, especially in the wind, even though it may appear that you might be about to rob a bank. Gloves, winter hats, and other accessories are important as well. We suggest having a thin pair of gloves for flying and a thicker pair for between flights. For some folks, flying in gloves feels weird and they prefer no gloves. This is fine, but just enjoy that frostbite. In all seriousness, give flying in thin gloves a try. After some practice, it begins to feel more natural. Plus, it will extend how long you can fly in the cold without needing a hand warmer break. On that note, hand warmers and toe warmers are great to use as well. Anything to keep your digits that manipulate flight controls from freezing solid. Sometimes, we even take breaks to warm up in our cars with the heat cranking if it gets to that point. The point here is that there's many ways to keep warm while you're at your field flying in the winter. Transitioning from the more obvious ways to keep warm to something more directly RC related, transmitter muffs. Some folks have their own fancy and, well, less fancy terms for these, but love them or hate them from a fashion standpoint, they get the job done. They are underused in our opinion. Who really does care what people think? We prefer to get an entire flight in with warm hands than cut a flight short to go warm up. While flying in thin gloves does work for some people, for those that don't like the feel of gloves on gimbals, muffs are a great alternative. These transmitter muffs, combined with a couple hand warmers inside of them, make for a great way to protect your hands from not only the cold, but the chilling bite of the wind as well. As a quick safety tip, always make sure your plane isn't turned on until you have your transmitter inside its muff. Also, ensure your radio is set to the correct model with the throttle cut turned on. Moving your radio into a muff with the plane connected is risky because you could accidentally bump a switch on the muff in the process, or even worse, your throttle. Do your best to avoid that one. Now that we've warmed ourselves and our radios up, let's cover a couple winter ops techniques. Starting with electrics, it's critical for proper battery performance to keep our batteries warm throughout our time at the field on a cold day. The battery life of a LiPo, flight time-wise, can be drastically shortened if it's not operated within its limits. It's a good idea to avoid operating a LiPo when its temperature gets below 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The warmer the better, and surprisingly, the ideal pack temperature is about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. At this temperature, you will get maximum performance out of your packs. However, in the winter, we know getting a pack up to 90 degrees, let alone having it maintain that temperature, will be difficult. We suggest combining a fancy lunchbox, night's cooler, or even an insulated carrier with those fancy electric hand warmers and/or traditional hand warmers as part of your preheating process. By doing so, you can store your batteries in them to keep them warm while waiting to go fly. While they charge, try your best to keep them insulated in a LiPo bag or box with a hand warmer or two as well. You'll have better battery life both in flight time as well as overall total number of battery cycles from your warmer, happier packs. Moving from electrics onto those shiny internal combustion machines, the first technique to try and follow for winter flying is giving your engine ample time to properly warm up to avoid that pesky dead stick right after takeoff. No one likes to perform high workload tasks the second they wake up in the morning in that groggy mood, so don't ask the same of your engine. The other gasser task is tuning your engine. Proper tuning of your engine is critical because the density of the air is tenfold in the winter to what it was in the heat of the summer. Make sure you get those needles tuned for the best overall peak RPM if you're flying your plane for the first time since the summer. This goes for your low end adjustment as well. The amount that you need to adjust the needles may not be that much, but it will still make your engine happier. That's all I've got for winter ops techniques to keep your batteries and engines happy on those cold days in the winter. Let's move on to the benefits of flying on a colder winter day over a hot day. Believe it or not, there actually are positive sides to freezing your you-know-what off while flying. Okay, first off, when else do you get to fly your plane with floats on it off a runway? Well, other than with wet grass, I guess. You also can do some fun and unique things too, like fly any flying boat-style seaplane off the snow, think Sea Ray or Icon. Some folks have even built a snow jump and jumped their RC plane off of it into the air Chinese aircraft carrier style. On those light powder snow days, it can be super fun to hover planes low above the snow because it blows the snow around in fun-looking ways. The same goes for doing those fancy rudder drifting turns on the ground. It blows snow behind your plane, almost giving it the appearance of a rooster tail off of a hydroplane mid-race. Or, as we brought up in our rudder video, try some one float or one ski landings on the snow. It's a bit different than doing it on firm ground. Our only tip on that note is that when you fly in a cloudy day with snow covering the ground, your depth perception gets all whacked because of the diffused lighting through the gray clouds combined with a white, low-contrast ground when compared to the sky. Be aware of this when doing landings or low passes, as sometimes that ground may end up sneaking up on you. That's all we've got when it comes to flying in the winter, folks. We hope that the topics we covered in this video were fun and informational. Winter is still just as good a time to fly as any other time of the year, if not better, so long as you do your homework before going flying to keep yourself, planes, and equipment happy and warm. So, what are you waiting for? Go throw your transmitter into a muff and take advantage of that thick air. If you enjoyed the video, we've got to hover above the snow and ask you to go ahead and hit the like button. Or, if you want to ensure a quality one-float landing on the snow, maybe even hit that subscribe button.